Hey y'all, welcome back to Lilmaskitchen. Tonight we're going to be making a creamy, cheesy tuna casserole. I hope you enjoy.
First thing you need to do is boil your noodles. Make sure that they're boiled for about 10 minutes, which will leave them, I would say, al dente. They're not going to be all the way done, which is perfect. Al dente just means that they're a little more firm. All right. So I'm going to drain the noodles. I'm going to allow them to drain a little more. I'm going to let them sit for a second. Alright, so go ahead and put your tuna in. I'm actually using my roasting pan because I'm making a hefty portion. So you can definitely use a casserole pan. So the full recipe description will be in the comments or in the YouTube link. So just click the arrow. I don't really know how to describe it for some people who are not really that familiar with YouTube. But I will put the full recipe with all the ingredients and instructions. So I'll help you check it out. So what we have here is 3 cups of milk, 1 cup of the heavy whipping cream, okay, whatever kind of milk you like. You know, it could be the skim milk or it could be whole milk, whatever you choose. All right, we're also going to throw in a little butter into our pot over here. We're gonna caramelize our vegetables. And then after we caramelize the vegetables, we'll throw them into the cream sauce. Okay, so I'm just gonna let that butter melt down. I'm turning it on high so it can melt as quick as possible. Okay, so we'll go ahead and let's put the onions in first. Have that on the highest heat possible. And after this caramelizes for about 1 to 2 minutes, we'll throw in the mushrooms and the chili peppers. So I have red chili peppers and serrano chili peppers. If you don't like it spicy, just take it out. Okay, just remove it from the recipe. You don't have to panic or get overexcited. It's not necessary. Whatever you don't like, just remove it from the recipe. For example, if you don't like green peas, you can remove that from the recipe. It will still be just as good. You know, use the ingredients that you like. So we'll just keep on caramelizing the onions. I use 1 large onion, so it's quite a bit of onion. I will tell you that it blends in perfectly. Although it seems like a lot, once it's mixed into the sauce mixture, you will not taste it, so it'll blend in and it'll just enhance the flavor. So my suggestion is that you try it. Don't knock it till you try it. Try it at least once. And then after you try it, you know, the first time, if you decide that it's a little too much for you, then you can adjust the recipe based on your liking. But trust me, you will not taste it. It will blend in wonderfully with everything else. Again, I'm just going to reiterate, I have a little bit of spicy chili peppers, red chili peppers, and then serranos, green serranos, along with the mushrooms. I also diced up about 3 cloves of garlic, as you can see. I'm going to caramelize that as well. And then after that's caramelized, we're going to mix it into our cream sauce. So this will enhance the flavors. You want to do it, trust me. Okay. So, I really want these to be a little more brown. So I think I will let it cook for another minute or two. And you know, I'll say this, bear with me, because I really I just cook because I love to cook. But at the same time, I'm not a professional or a chef, you know, that is licensed. So sometimes I'm trying to figure out exactly what the recipe calls for to explain it to you. You know, so those of you who are new to cooking, you can learn, you know, how to adjust the recipe to your liking, and you know, maybe you can get some skills to be able to create things in the future. So sometimes you just have to be, you have to think outside the box. You know, you can't just always go with the recipe. You have to think outside the box and adjust it to your liking. I think these are good. I can see a little bit of caramelization starting to form. So I'm going to go ahead and add in the chili peppers. And I'm going to also add in the mushrooms. I'm going to add the garlic in last, so we'll add that in right before we transfer to the cream sauce. So I'm going to let this just cook down for a few minutes. We'll just check back in about, let's say, 3 to 4 minutes once this has cooked down. And then I'll let you know what you need to do next. Alright, so as you can see, I am in the process of sauteing the onions, the chili peppers, the serrano peppers. I'm gonna go ahead and throw in the garlic now. Okay, so adding in the garlic. The aroma is amazing. Smells really good and delicious. So while we allow that to continue to reduce or caramelize, it's really ready. I'm going to throw it into the cream sauce, but I figure we should go ahead and get some cheese into the cream sauce. Alright, y'all. I know this is cheesy, but check this out. You want it to be good, and this is how we like it. We need it cheesy. You know, this is not something that we eat every day. It's for special occasions. So, again, I will reiterate, the full recipe will be in the description. You need to click the down arrow in the comments. I'm going to say maybe 1/4 of the topping to place on top of the casserole. And then we're also going to make like a panko topping, just to give it a little more texture. So I'm going to go ahead and let that simmer for a few minutes. I'm going to turn off the vegetables over here. We'll turn that off. Okay. And then we'll just allow this to simmer for, let's say, maybe 5 minutes. We don't want the cheese to be clumpy like this. We want it to be all like one soft texture. So like a nice cream sauce. Also, not sure if I mentioned it, but let's throw in a can of the cream of celery. This is going to give it like a little special touch. So, if you have cream of mushroom, go ahead and use that. Doesn't have to be cream of celery. But it's something about the cream soup that gives it just the right texture and consistency. Okay? So, I would suggest that you use it if you have it on hand. Now, if you don't, you can skip it completely. It will still turn out delicious. Just one. That's all you need. Okay. I'm also going to go ahead and throw in, I'm going to throw in about 1/4 of a teaspoon of celery seed. I don't know if you've used celery seed before, but it's amazing. And it enhances the flavor of any dish. So if you haven't tried it, try it. I'm also gonna, this is my secret, I'm gonna throw in 1/4 of a teaspoon of that smoked paprika. And give it like a little kick. It's like a backhand. You don't know, now you know. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so we're gonna mix that in really good. Okay. Now, you still need seasoning. And you could season the noodles, but I would prefer to season the sauce, the cream sauce, because it, making a little mess, sorry about that. It will ensure that the cream sauce gets throughout the cream sauce, okay? Just turn it down a little bit. Okay, so with that being said, I'm going to throw in some of my seasoning salt. Wonderful, homemade, all-purpose or multi-purpose seasoning. So use your seasoning salt. This is seasoning salt. I'm going to use about, I'm going to say 2 teaspoons. I want it to be flavorful. If you don't really like, you know, flavorful food, then you can use less. Adjust the salt or seasoning salt to your taste. You can use whatever you like. If it's Tuna Casserole's, Lori, whatever it is, just make sure you have that seasoning salt. Seasoning is key. Okay, so let's go ahead and stir that in. I'm going to turn that fire down a little bit just because it's cranked up there. I don't want it to scorch. You do not want your cheese sauce to scorch. That would be the worst. So make sure that you keep it at a reasonable heat. I would say medium-high. Okay. That looks great. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and throw in the vegetables to the cream sauce. You don't need to wait. Let's just get it over with. Move this along. Let me show you my bourbon choice. I don't know if you know, but it's amazing. And I'm lit. Okay. So let's just go ahead and mix that in. Okay, looking delicious. It smells so good in here, y'all. And let me tell you, my kids and my family love this meal. This is Lil Ma's famous tuna casserole. Actually, no, let me rephrase that. This is Lil Ma's, how would I say it? Mama's favorite tuna casserole. I don't know. This is my mama's favorite recipe that I have took and put my own spin on, of course, which I do with everything. But, you know, I can't take the credit for this one. My mama is the boss. She's the original boss. So she made this happen. So anyway, turning that fire up again. Let's get it cranking. I'm going to throw a little bit of parsley up in here because I want it to be, like, pretty. So let's put some parsley. I have fresh parsley, but I'm lazy. So we're going to use dry parsley. Okay. That looks good to me. Let's mix that in. Okay, so I have already boiled the noodles, drained the noodles. We're gonna go ahead and add that to our baking dish. As you can see here, you have your tuna. That is approximately 6 4-ounce cans. Now you want to go ahead and mix in your olives. Again, the full recipe will be in the description. So you're going to mix in your olives and your green peas. Now, if you don't like green peas, you can leave them out. The thing is, you can omit anything you want from this recipe and it will still be just as good, like without. So just do it based on your preference. I suggest that you try it at least once with the recommended recipe, and then, you know, hook up your own twist eventually. You know what I mean? Make it with your own twist. So we like this. My family loves the olives. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna use all the olives there. I'm gonna add in the green sweet peas. Okay, and we're gonna give that a nice little stir. I want to mix it really good with the tuna because I want all the flavors to be mixed throughout. I don't want like clumps of tuna that don't have the peas or the olives. So I want everything to be thoroughly mixed. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and throw in these noodles. Let's get the noodles in. So the noodles have already been cooked. Okay, so let's pour the cream sauce in. So we're going to mix that cream sauce in really good. You want it to be all throughout the casserole. Okay. You know, if you don't like chili peppers, go ahead and use some red bell peppers and green bell peppers in place. You know, it would be delicious, just as good, but it wouldn't be spicy. I like spicy. My family, we prefer spicy. Okay, so once this starts to cook, the juices are going to cook throughout the tuna casserole. So, you know, it's going to create more moisture. So you don't want it to be too runny, but at the same time, you don't want it to be dry. So it's really important that you have the right consistency. Okay, so I'm going to put a little more seasoning salt in here because for some reason, I just don't think that there's enough. And I want it to be seasoned. So I'm going to put a little more seasoning salt on here. Okay, okay, and then I'm going to add in a little bit of fresh black pepper corns that I crushed using my mortar and pestle. So it's about a teaspoon of black pepper. Okay, so mix that in. So I think I'm going to add some sour cream. If you don't have sour cream, you can add mayonnaise. So either one is going to be fine. I have the sour cream here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of that. Okay. I'm also going to add in some parsley flakes. More parsley flakes. Okay. Okay, so let's stir that all together. Set the settings to 355. I mean 350, not 355. I'm so sorry. For about 30 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put the rest of the cheese topping on here. And then once this cooks, I'll be quite frank with you, you have a choice. You can choose to put like a panko bread topping, or you can simply eat it this way. You don't need to add the panko bread topping. So it's totally up to you. It's your preference. The panko definitely gives it a secret touch, and it is a little more sophisticated, you know, if you're trying to please guests or entertain folks. But it definitely will taste just as good without it, so it's not necessary. It's totally up to you. Use your discretion. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just sprinkle this cheese on top. Okay. Now, your panko bread topping, if you choose to use that, it should supersede this, so you should put it on after, and it will be delicious. I think I am gonna go ahead and do a panko bread topping, so what I will use, some of the panko bread crumbs. I'll use a little bit of butter, about 2 tablespoons of butter, a little bit of Parmesan shredded cheese, and some parsley. I'll go ahead and show you that at the end of the video, but for now, I'm just gonna go ahead and pop this in the oven. We will check back to see the end result. Okay, so what we have here is about 3/4 cups of panko breadcrumbs. I'm melting that with about 2.5 tablespoons of butter. So we're just gonna brown that a little bit. Oh, no, I'm gonna say medium-high heat. Don't burn your panko. So just stir it constantly. On a medium-high heat. I'm gonna put in a little bit of garlic powder and onion powder. So this is about 1/4 teaspoon. It's not a lot. And then I'm gonna also put about 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. And let's add some parsley flakes for color. Okay, looks delicious. So that's kind of how I want it to look. Once I have a little bit of flavor, I'm also gonna throw in a little dash of salt. Oh well, that's kind of empty. That's okay. Bit of salt. You want to have a little bit of flavor. Okay. So you see how that's nice and golden brown? That's how we want that to look. The amount of Parmesan is going to be about 1/4 cup of Parmesan. Okay, so you can see how the panko, it's browning. Like you want it to brown like this. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to allow this to cook into the tuna casserole for about 10 minutes. So I'll take that out. And let's do this now. Turn that. Okay, so if you can see how that looks, delicious. Maybe you call it something else, but it looks good to me. Just throw in the Parmesan. Mix that in really well. Okay. A little bit of oregano. Just a drop. Okay. Okay, so let's just brown that. You can see that the Parmesan is melting. Okay. Now, that's nice and golden brown. I think that's the perfect topping. So I'm gonna go ahead. Sorry, let me get my hands in there. And I'm gonna just spread it on here lightly. You just spread it, you know, the best you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. It will taste perfect. Okay. As you can see, that's how we want that to look. Let's just spread the panko out, thin layer of panko. If you want more panko, you can double the portion size. So you would just use double the portion. You would use more butter and more panko breadcrumbs. You would do the exact same thing. Spread it out. Okay? And then we're going to stick it back in the oven. I'm going to stick it in the oven uncovered for about, I'm going to say, maybe 10 minutes. And then we'll check back in about 10 minutes to see the end result. Tuna cheesy casserole. Okay, Lil Mama's famous tuna casserole. This is not your average tuna casserole. It's cracking. So we're going to go ahead and plate this real quick. Okay. Let's go ahead. Oh.